The NBA postseason has certainly been a betting bonanza for you and I, because here on the video report, my complimentary plays, I've won 12 of my last 14, and my NBA best bets on the site. My most recent roll, 7 out of 9 after cashing in with the Celtics again last night, as well in game number 1 against Washington. Although I got to tell you, Boston less than impressive in the series, just as they were far less than impressive during the 4 straight wins against Chicago as well. And in between, cashing in with Cleveland in game number 1 on Monday night. Well, now, your complimentary play for tonight is going to be game number 2 between the Cavaliers and Toronto, because I have the best bet is going to be game number 2 of the Houston-San Antonio series, for which I gave you the Rockets as the complimentary play in that series opener a couple of nights back. Now, for Cleveland-Toronto, listen, I think that any way you slice it, the only way to play this particular contest is to once again lay the points with the Cavaliers, because Cleveland certainly has its defensive deficiencies. But right now, the Cavaliers are a fine-tuned machine when it comes to their offensive prowess, because obviously this is a team that is on one hell of a roll. The Cavaliers have played 5 postseason games, the 4-0 sweep of Indiana in round number 1, and of course the Monday night opener against Toronto. And in those 5 games, they are averaging 113.4 points and 13.6 three-pointers. Now, we have seen the progression of the Cavaliers in terms of their efficiency from the three-point line, starting with the postseason last year, continuing through this regular season as well. And the Cavaliers were just gunners and playing great. The Golden State Warriors of the Eastern Conference, shall we say, in game number 1 against Toronto, when they came out firing and cashed in with 14 three-pointers and hit at a 45.9% clip overall, opening up with a 30-point first quarter, taking that big-time lead, opening up and taking up an 18-point margin at one point in the first half against Toronto. But again, the warts for the Cavaliers all season long has been their defense, a matador defense. They just wave you right onto the basket. And then we saw Toronto come back with that 19-3 roll. They cut that deficit down to 2 points. We saw the Cavaliers go on another nice little run, and they opened up a 62-48 halftime lead. We saw Toronto come back and cut the deficit to 7 points in the third quarter before Cleveland once again took off, had a nice little extended run, and they eventually salted away the win, 116-105. So the final score, was it as close as the final score indicated? No, it certainly wasn't. But again, the game had its ebbs and tides, and you saw the Cavaliers go up big, give away parts of that lead. You saw Toronto come back, but in reality, the Raptors weren't that close, because clearly Cleveland is the superior team. You just have to live with those defensive deficiencies. And as I pointed out in backing the Cavaliers as a 5-dime play on Monday night, the warts that I'm speaking of, this is a Cleveland team that was rated 22nd in defensive efficiency during the regular season, 29th since the All-Star break. And then in the first round series against Indiana, they allowed 111 points per 100 possessions to the Pacers. That was even worse than they did during the regular season. And you saw how the Raptors, a team that really is not that good offensively, still managed to put up 105 points against the Cavaliers in game number 1. Now, where the Cavaliers did succeed defensively is that they kept DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry pretty much in check. Now, of course, those two guys keep themselves in check because historically they are among the 2 of the top 5 all-time worst career postseason shooters with over 500 field goal attempts in terms of active players currently in NBA history. Yeah, when you're in the bottom 5, it doesn't take much to keep you in check, even if you do play matador defense when you're the opponent. Now, they had decent games. Kyle Lowry on the stat sheet, 7 for 13, 20 points. DeRozan, 7 for 16, 19 points, but he was not the DeRozan who averaged over 29 points during the 3 regular season meetings that he played against the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was not the guy that was constantly a real thorn in their side when he averaged 23 points plus during the 6-game Eastern Conference Finals against Cleveland a year ago. And on the other side, you saw that despite the acquisitions of P.J. Tucker and Serge Ibaka, hey, listen, the Raptors were not going to be able to stop LeBron James, who had a spark in his step. Obviously, the 7-8 days rest between putting away the Pacers in 4 games while Toronto was extended by Milwaukee. Obviously, it paid dividends for the Cavaliers because they certainly were spry on Monday night. LeBron having the big 35-point outing, Kyrie Irving having 24, and a playoff career high of 10 assists. You know, he only had 12 assists during the 4-game Indiana sweep, which showed you that Irving not only was being relied on for his offense, but he was also distributing the ball. You had Tristan Thompson having a double-double. You have Kevin Love having a good game as well. And surprisingly, Cleveland had a strong offensive performance, even though, once again, J.R. Smith and Kyle Korver were missing in action just as they were in the Indiana series. It could just be scary what the Cavaliers could do if Smith and Korver ever got on track, ever got involved in the offense, because in game number 1 against the Raptors, they only took a combined 9 shots and finished 4 for 9 with just 12 points total. So, again, you have a Cleveland team that has just been a tremendous play at home in the postseason over the years against Eastern Conference foes. And you've got a Raptors team that really wasn't competitive in game number 1. And do the Raptors really think they can beat the Cleveland Cavaliers? I don't think so. And I think the Cavs will just toy with them again tonight. I don't think this is a situation like it was in the Milwaukee series after Toronto got beaten to hell in game number 1, where they came back and exerted their defense and managed to get the job done against Milwaukee, because these aren't the Bucks they're playing here tonight. I think Cleveland gets the job done, and I think the only way to play this is to lay the points with the Cavaliers. So Cleveland is going to be your complimentary play. That'll do it, guys. I wish you well, and we'll talk again tomorrow.